As you enter the large room within the cave, you hear a loud roar as you see, coming from the back of the cave, a giant bronze dragon. You see his chest starts to expand as fire and smoke come from his mouth and nostrils. I need everyone to roll initiative. This is what one would expect to see if they were to play Dungeons and Dragons. But first, they would all need to have a character to begin playing. In this speech, I'm going to talk to you about how to create a character for Dungeons and Dragons. And the tools you need are a character sheet, your player's handbook, and a set of dice. And specifically for character creation, you need 4d6s. So, the first point of creating a character is its race. When I say race, I don't mean its ethnicity, I mean its species. In Dungeons and Dragons, you have a wide variety of different races, such as dwarfs, elves, gnomes, halflings, or hobbits, humans, and other wide variety of creatures. For this build, I'm going to build a wood elf, a subrace for just normal elf. And why is race important in Dungeons and Dragons? And race determines what features you have. Different races have different features. For instance, a elf would have something called dark vision. Dark vision is the ability to see with pitch black, no light, where humans do not have this ability. And another ability is trance. A elf only needs 4 hours of sleep, where every other race would need 8 hours of sleep. So that is a reason why it is important to have different races in Dungeons and Dragons, so everybody has a little bit of a different build. The next, after character races, is class. The different classes are Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. And these different classes all serve a purpose because this is how your character fights. A Barbarian or a Fighter would be more melee and up front in the battle, going hand in hand with another character, while a Wizard or a Sorcerer would be kind of farther back, being just ranged attacks. So this is how a character would fight or use their abilities. For this build, I'm using a Druid, a nature-based spellcaster, and it works well because of a Wood Elf. A Wood Elf is someone that would live in the forest or kind of in seclusion. But a different elf would probably not work. Like a Dark Elf would be someone from the Underdark, an underground system of caves. So this race and this class work pretty hand in hand together. The next thing in character creation, after you get your race and your character class, you need to figure out your ability scores. Ability scores are the scores you have for each designated ability. The 6 abilities are Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. And I found a great way to describe each of them using tomatoes. Strength is how well you can crush a tomato. Dexterity is how well you can dodge a tomato. Constitution is how well you can eat a bad tomato. Intelligence is intelligence is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing to not put a tomato in a fruit salad. And Charisma is the ability to sell a tomato-based fruit salad. So how we create ability scores is you take the 4d6 and you roll them. After rolling them, you take out the lowest number and you add up the other 3. So in this example, I have a 6, a 2, a 3, and a 2. So I take one of the 2s out, so I'm left with 11. I create 6 numbers just like this, and I put them in different abilities. And this is important because different classes need different abilities. Barbarians and fighters would want a higher strength ability, while a spellcaster like a druid or a wizard or cleric would want a higher wisdom or intelligence. A druid is intelligence or wisdom based, so I would want my highest to be in wisdom, followed by dexterity, which is my armor class, and my constitution, which is my health. Strength if I'm fighting with a melee weapon, and intelligence and charisma are just for other checks that I need. After you have all of your ability scores, it's also time to figure out your level, what level your character is at. So let's just say I'm at 10th level. That means that I have more spellcasting and more abilities and features in my class of a druid. I'm able to wild shape, which is turn into different beasts, cast bigger spells than a first level druid, and so on. So now that you have your class, your race, and your level, you're now ready to go into and create your background and get your equipment. So background is kind of what your profession was, or what your character is coming from. My druid wood elf is coming from the woods, so it fits best that he is a hermit, someone who has lived a life of seclusion. And background is important because you get other features with this. You get different bonuses to certain skills. You get personality traits and bonds and flaws for each of these characters. And then after background, you also need your equipment. When creating a druid, you get the choice of a couple of different things. I am choosing a shield, I'm choosing a scimitar, and I have leather armor. So a shield allows me to get a +2 to my AC, which is my armor class. My leather is 11 plus whatever my dexterity is for my armor class, and that's how I determine whether something hits me or not. And then my sword is how much damage my attacks can do, which a scimitar is 1d6. So if I were to hit something with a melee attack, I would roll a d6 plus my strength or dexterity, since it is a finesse weapon, allows either or. And then finally, if you are a spellcaster, you have to pick out your spells. So since my druid is, I have to pick out a certain number of spells that allows me to choose from, and I have a certain number of spells I can cast each day based on its level. So level 1 spells, I believe I have 4. Second level spells, I have 3 or 4. And it goes up to 5th level spells for a level 10 character. So now that we have race, class, level, our ability scores, our background, equipment, and our spells, we're done. So once you have made the decision to join a campaign, the character creation process starts. Simply choosing the race and class of your character, rolling its abilities and figuring its levels, creating its background and equipping it with items. Your character is now complete. Now you have completed your character sheet. You're now ready to join the party and fight the dragon.